Hello and welcome to CyberSec Pulse webinar brought to you by Hermitage Solutions. My name is Asta and I will be your host during this webinar. Two of my colleagues are together with me today, Product Manager Evaldas, who will shortly present Invicti, and also Technical Engineer Ernestas, who will do a demo presentation during which you will get to know how to integrate and use Invicti solution.
Hello everyone once again. My name is Evaldas, cybersecurity product manager here at Hermitage Solutions. So today we are here to share our knowledge about web application security testing tool Acunetics by Invicti. And the reason we started this webinar with a question: who's responsible for application security, web application security, is because based on that, what is the position of the company who's responsible, different policies and procedures might be implemented within the company to define how to secure these applications and what tools should be used. Because if we're looking from a developer's perspective, so we are using development tools. From the security perspective, security teams are using different tools for securing applications. And in between, we can have this web application security tool, which could be used by both, by developers themselves and also by security teams. Like in our name, it could be used by CTOs and by CISOs. So CTO could see how their technologies, their products are secured, and CISO, from a security perspective, can have a full visualization about the vulnerabilities, risks, and how it's being handled over the time. And we'll dig deeper into this a little bit later, and also in the demonstration. So first thing first, okay, my slides are not changing. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. So here we have several names. So just to highlight, so Acunetics is the product which we are talking about, and the Invicti is the company itself to which this product belongs. So a brief introduction about the Invicti, the company. So the company was founded in 2005. So it's not a new company, it's not some kind of startup, unicorn, etc. So it's a long-standing company with a proven track record, with existing customer base, and customer base is pretty impressive because the product, based on its architecture, can be used from single individual professionals to large enterprises. And actually, the customer base consists of both single individuals who just have several targets, let's say several applications which we are securing, testing, and large enterprises which has tens or hundreds of web assets which they are testing. So Invicti, as a company, they are pioneer in web security, web application security testing. Also, they are providing several ways how you can test your application. So it's a dynamic application testing. So it's also so-called black box application testing. We also have interactive application testing, so-called gray box approach. And also, it helps to find out of a band vulnerabilities which are not visible doing regular scans. So what other are saying, let's say, about the company itself? So the company Invicti is listed in the Gartner quadrant in challengers part. So before you making any assumptions, so just to understand the methodology of Gartner quadrant. So Gartner quadrant lists companies in the web application which are providing SaaS, DAST, IaaS, and SCA. So just to explain this, so it's a static application testing, dynamic application testing, interactive application testing, and software composition analysis, source code analysis. So, and it includes vendors or products which has at least 2 of these parameters. So, as I mentioned, Invicti or Acunetics are focusing primarily on 2 areas. On that, so it's on dynamic application testing and on interactive application testing. So that is why it's not possible to expect this product to be in a leader's quadrant. And they did it on purpose because we see most of the value in dynamic application testing, and we'll discuss it a little bit later. Ernestas will elaborate, I think, also in his demonstration. So we have a recognition by, let's say, market research and technology research, like Gartner. Also, we have an evaluation by the customers, users themselves. So we can take a look, for example, at Gartner Peer Insights, so where users, customers are sharing their feedback about the product they are using. So what we see here, so 95% of total respondents who provided feedback about Acunetics, they are willing to recommend this product to another, let's say, to the peers. And evaluation about the product capabilities, it got 4.9 out of 5 possible stars, let's say. So they value this product as a capable and willing to recommend it to the others. So as you saw previously, we had this product in the challengers, but when it comes to the users themselves who are using this product, so they listed it as a leader. This is how we value this product. And most products which were in a leader quadrant, so you can find this like a Synopsys or Micro Focus, they are just a little bit below. They had a lower user rating than the Gartner itself rating. Also, as an alternative, we can take a look also at the other source of information where users also are sharing feedback about the product. So it's a very commonly used and very often used G2 or G2 Crowd website. So it's this product also is regularly receiving leader evaluations all over again. So every single year it's named at least once or several times a year like a leader. And in this area, products are listed which are providing DAS, penetration testing, web security, so in general, tools for securing web applications. So it's from users and also a very good reference. So it's one of the large list of customers' references from US Air Force. So it's very good to know when the organization which has the highest levels security standards are providing very positive feedback about the product they're using. It means they have high standards and they are very satisfied with the product. So it's a very good indication about the product's capabilities. So, okay, we know about the product, how it's valued. So how can it help? Yeah, so we can divide this, let's say, journey into several steps, 5 to be more precise, and how it all starts. So what we need to do in order to secure your environment, first of all, you have to know what you want to secure. You cannot secure what you don't see. Yeah, so first thing, you need to discover all your assets. And very often sources of breaches are outdated, forgotten, leftover some applications which are accessible, but no one is taking care of its security. So this could be resolved with tools like that. Okay, so first thing first, yeah, you discover the assets. What you need to do next, so you assign these assets to responsible parties. So it could be person, it could be department, it could be unit, or some external parties and developers, etc. Yeah, so you have asset and responsible party. And you start scanning. So yeah, so you have assets, start scanning, and you starting identify risk vulnerabilities. So when you have identified vulnerabilities, you need to fix it, yeah? So you identify, fix it, do once again testing, retest. If everything is fine, you resolve the issue and notify the related party. So everyone knows there was an issue, it was fixed, and we can move on further, let's say, with using application or developing further, or let's say from testing, releasing into production. And for developers, for those who are using proper, let's say, software development lifecycle, so this tool has a native integrations with, let's say, with the components which are used in this journey. So it has native integration with CI/CD tools. I will show which ones. And it can help with this kind of circle of software development lifecycle. So here you can see, I'm not sure if you can properly see, but in general, it has integration with CI tools like a GitLab, Bamboo, Jenkins, with issue tracking systems like Bugzilla, GitLab issues, Jira, GitHub, well, these usual suspects, and communication native integration with Teams, Slack, whatever your team is using. So if there is an issue, issue is resolved, you can get notification that it was resolved, and you can move on with your day. Okay, and so yeah. You have all these steps here, you find, you fix it, but the thing with applications that it's not fixed, yeah? So you are developing, adding features, changing features, and constantly developing. So if you're constantly developing, you need to do it constant scanning. So this tool also has a proper ways how to do that. So starting from the discovery, assigning, addressing the issues which you find, integrate with the tools you are using, providing reporting, and scheduling the scan. So in general, you make the action steps which you want to do at specific moments in time, and you can proceed with that. And what is good is I'll just mention one of the benefits. So it's a if we have developers, so they know very well what is the cost or moral cost of a false positive, because it consumes a lot of resources and time. So with this type of approach, like a dynamic application testing versus static, out of band vulnerabilities identification, so you can get less false positives. So who's dealing with false positive? We know that you find something which is reported as a vulnerability, you're trying to fix it, you see that it's a false positive, you mark it as a false positive, but you don't know what was the real issue. With a real vulnerability, it's very simple. If it's real, existing, you fix it and you move on with the day. And so this is the theory, and Ernestas now will show the product itself, how it looks like, how it works, and all this parts and features. Okay, so Ernestas, handing over to you.
Before start, I would like to speak a bit about, in general, about the kinetics and procedures. So before we had a question pool, who is responsible for vulnerabilities in the web application? Yes, it's developers or it's security. So, and we got pretty mixed responses, about 50-50, yes, as I remember, 60-40, something like that, who is responsible. What I would like to comment, it's not important who is responsible, but it's important, do you talked about that? Is it clear who is responsible? Or you just, if you're a developer, you're expecting that security team will cover that. And if you're security team, you think that developers should do that. So it's very important that you in your organization have a plan who is responsible for vulnerabilities searching and fixing them. So that will be my comment in the for the first question pool. I would like to share my screen now with you. Can you colleagues confirm that you see it? Yes. So before we start, Aconetics is dynamic search engine, vulnerability search engine, that basically simulates activities that bad actors do. So what does it mean? It will not search your source code and not search how application sits in your server, but from the other part, one tool can do that from Aconetics, but it will act as the bad actor do. So it simulates like hacker sitting in another part of the world, sending requests to your website and trying to manipulate your website, find vulnerabilities, and exploit them. So Aconetics will do the same. And Aconetics can do that very well because it's in the market for like 15 years, if I'm not wrong. Evaldas, maybe you know the exact count of the years, how much Aconetics are in market. It have more than
2005.
2005, yes. So 18 years, yes, something like that. And it have more than 15,000 signatures about vulnerabilities that exist or existed in internet world. Yes, so it's pretty huge number of signatures. If we're talking about antiviruses, we know that antiviruses, more signatures it have, more covered you are. So the same rule exists also in vulnerability scanners. More it can cover, more perimeter it can recognize, the more value you get from the vulnerability scanners. One important notice before I start, that vulnerability scanners don't offer or not offer much security by itself. So it's not a firewall, it's not antivirus, it not covers how to say, it not covers your vulnerability by itself, but it indicates and let you notice that vulnerabilities exist. It's very important to understand what steps you're gonna take further after you get noticed. You need to organize your developer team to search for those vulnerabilities, to see if those vulnerabilities are true. Probably you will need to close your product for a day or two till the vulnerability will be fixed. And you could already understand that this is not very efficient, because when you're developing product, you want to be efficient, yes, to develop the product as less cost possible and to profit more possible. Yes, it's natural. That's why we're developing some kind of the tools. So it's very important to understand that more false positive you have or weaker tool you have, the more money, more resources you're gonna spend on searching false positives. So in my career, many times I encounter situations that people choosing open source vulnerability scanners and they think they are covered, but in reality they're just spending a lot of hours searching for those vulnerabilities, and after that just they came to find that this is false positive and they were chasing ghosts, as I call them. Okay, so cheaper is not always the cheap, what I would like to mention. Okay, a bit deeper view on the Aconetics, how it works, what it do and what it doesn't do. And after that, if you have questions, please write in the chat. I will try to answer them all. If I can't, naturally, I will respond you via email after I know the exact responses. Today, I'm gonna present you the scanning itself. Well, it was scanned yesterday, not so we'll skip that because scanning can do like an hour or two, depending on the website scale. But we have scanned the web page that Aconetics provide. This vulnweb.com is open for scanning. So if you have another tools, you can always compare your scanning tool and results with the websites and Aconetics. If you are interested in Aconetics, please contact us, contact Evaldas. We can organize you free trial version, and you can compare tools if you are in consideration what vulnerability scanner is better, more suitable for you. So feel free to contact us. So how Aconetics is working? First of all, you are showing the target, as we call. In this case, target is vulnweb.com. From that point, Aconetics will enter the URL and sees what's inside, as they call this process crawling the website. It sees every picture in the website, every link, every possibility where could possibly bad actor could enter. And it's doing that by responses of the HTML code it returns from the server. After it's called all the website, after it's understand where is the sign up form, where is the, for example, another application, skill search or something like that, it will start to manipulate the website and send bad requests. For example, in the search field, could we search something that is not suitable, what it shouldn't look? For example, SQL injections, sorry for the pronunciation, SQL injections, and so on. From the tool itself, after it finished crawling, after it finished scanning, we can see a report of the scan. For example, the same page I was showing you before. Let's click on that and see how it goes. Here. So we have briefly description about the website and situation of the website where it stands. So we see that duration dured like a bit less than 18 minutes. It had 82,000 requests, average response time, and the scale of the website. Also, we can see activities, alerts, and some information that is not very informative. If you want more information, we can click on vulnerabilities. Let's give it a second till it loads. After we get the screen, we can see all vulnerabilities that was found, and we can start investigate what's happened, how it happened, and why it happened. Yes, let's click the first one. From the first one, we got a description about the vulnerability. So we see where exactly did it happen. We see attack details. Yes, it's a description. Also, we have pretty good information. The request code, it's very useful for developers to understand how it gets these results, how it sends requests for the results, and what results it get. And also, we can see in yellow marked why Aconetics think that this is vulnerable by result. So it's very good tool, just not telling you, hey, you have vulnerability, good luck finding it. It shows you exactly in which line where vulnerability was found. Also, for non-developers, for not tech guys, and for maybe for CISOs or administrators, security, analytics, or so on. If, for example, you don't have your own penetration testers, and you can read description and how to fix that if you want to hire third party to cover your bugs. Yes, because we have many businesses and every business working in that way. So it's very good information what it sends in your website and what response it will get. So the guys will sure they understand what's going on. Also, the good thing to mention is confidence. Sometimes we get less lower than 100%, but Aconetics is very popular for its false positive rate. That's the card where they are going. They want to eliminate as much false positive as possible and to be accurate as possible and more accurate tool in the market that could exist. That's the goal of Aconetics, and they are doing this pretty good. So we can see that this vulnerability is 100%. So we can ensure that this is not a ghost. This is a sure 100% vulnerability that we need to fix. And this is not a false positive. That comes also by the response that Aconetics gave before. We can see another vulnerabilities, for example, just to be clear how it looks. As you see again, it's the request for the website and response for the website as well. You can see again that it's marked in yellow. Why Aconetics thinks that this vulnerability is 100% sure. Important note to mention before we continue. Aconetics sending requests in read-only manner. There is possibility that it will send some trashes in your database, but it will never manipulate your existing data. So you are safe to use Aconetics on your product live version. It will never hurt it. You maybe just see another additional information if you are vulnerable. It's much better than let your bad actor to play with your database, as example. So we got pretty much, we have a lot of vulnerabilities we see in the website. What do we do next? After that we see vulnerabilities, the huge list of vulnerabilities, we need to organize ourselves. What we do? We need to justify the hours that developers need to stop developing the product and start fixing the bugs. So we can do that by generating a report and showing that to the responsible people, and to justify why developers are stopped producing and start fixing. So Aconetics have a lot of prepared reports that you can stamp, you can download it, and suitable for your organization, depending what is more important. Is it you following ISO standard or WASP or HIPAA, and you can organize your reports based on your organization needs and show them to the responsible people and justify developers' work and deciding criticality where developers should put their forces on developing or in fixing the bugs. When we find the bug, we can also mark as open task. As you see, Evalda showed you before, we have integrations with GitLab and a lot of more. I will show you in the few minutes again the list of integrations. So you can open the task for responsible team that was developing this PHP file. So if you have, for example, you have developer teams in several different countries. As an example, yes, you have in several countries, and one country is responsible for one part of the website, another for another. So Aconetics could understand which developer, which team is responsible for this file, and you open tags exactly for the same team who's developed this website. So it's very handy to give this job, to fix that job, who's created that problem. So you again, you're saving money with this product. You don't need to give, for the wrong persons the tasks that they are not capable, or they spend more time by understanding what was wrote before. You can mark as fixed. It's important to know that when you mark as fixed, it won't run the all scan again, because the website could be very large and it not dure like 1 hour or 2. We had clients that scan was during like 8 hours or 9 hours. Yes. So if you have a lot of vulnerabilities and every time you run a full scan, it will consume a lot of resources, and of course you won't be efficient. So by marking as fixed, Aconetics will send the same exact request and see if it gets response. If the same exact response will not come back, it confirms that this vulnerability is fixed, and you get a shown message that yes, this vulnerability is fixed, be marked as fixed. You can ignore that if you think that it's not worth your time, and you can keep that, or you can mark as false positive. If you mark false positive, it means that you're signing for Aconetics. Look, we checked for this vulnerability, we think you are wrong, and Aconetics in that case know that maybe something is wrong with their tool, and they try investigate what's gone wrong in this situation. So another thing to mention, as I told you before, Aconetics is vulnerability scanner. It's not a firewall. It don't offer. Why it not offer? Yes, it not offer security by itself, by product. It's only a tool to help you save money in the future by not changing the goals, the false positive, as I mentioned before. But it will have some features that they help you protect the website. For example, WAF. Acconetics have ability to integrate with your WAF if you have so. And if they found critical vulnerability in your website, Acconetics can generate the rule for the WAF, and WAF will take responsibility to block this website for the public until your developers fix the problem. Remember, I showed the fix it button. So you first discover the problem, you fix that, you send the request. If request returns false, it means that vulnerability is not existing anymore. It will send the rule for the WAF again and opens the web for the public. It's very handy and useful to future, because you can find vulnerability in middle of the night. You can find vulnerability in middle of the weekend when there is no developers inside or developers invocation. We can imagine various scenarios how we postpone the works. Yes. So Acconetics in such a case helps to secure your website right here, right now, at the moment when the vulnerability was found. So it's a very handy tool. Evaldas also mentioned to you before that it's a DAS solution, but with some SaaS capabilities. I would like to talk to you a bit more about that. If we see, some of the vulnerabilities are without Accu sensor and some with Accu sensor icon. Yes, let's click on that. What does it mean? What is Accu sensor? Accu sensor is additional tool, which is a part of Acconetics, yes, which is installed on the server side. So Dust is most of the times sitting in another part of the world and scanning your resources in your server. But if you install Accu sensor on your server side, it will read the source code. It will monitor your server activities and sees how server is reacting when Acconetics sending certain requests. For example, we can get more briefly responses which is marked with Accu sensor. It means that this result in that exact details could be only retrieved with Accu sensor. For example, proof exploit, we can see exact file and the line where is vulnerability in your code. So how handy is that? Yes, you exactly know where you need to go and where to fix that. So it have some SaaS features. It's not a SaaS product, but it have some SaaS features, which is very handy. And you basically, you know, in which file, in which line you need to go and fix your code. It's very, very handy and useful feature. Yes. And for the last, so we basically talked about how Acconetics is working, what it do, what it doesn't. I briefly showed you capabilities. And I would like to, for the last, to talk about installation. So Acconetics could work as in premise, as in the cloud. It comes with its certain pros and cons, yes, as always. So if you're going on the cloud version, you will get log into the website and you will get as much scans as you want every 5 or 2 minutes as you want. So you're basically using Acconetics resources, Acconetics hardware to scan your websites. So you don't need to use any virtual machines and nothing at all to start searching for vulnerabilities of your applications. It's done by Acconetics hardware. Some companies as have great network, yes, or don't want to expose themselves for internet and want to keep this product, their product inside. they can run on-premise solution. It comes in the same license, but as running on-premise, you need to create a virtual machine or dedicated hardware and keep updating that. On the cloud version, all newest updates is always up to date. But if you're going on premises, you need to update by yourself. So it's up to you which is more suitable for you. Also worth to mention that if you're running a cloud version, you can create a users. Users can be admin, tester, or let me check how many. I know that there is a 4, but I just don't remember the exact names. So what I just talk about them. So there is admins who can run scans and change policies how they want to be scanned. There are administrators which can see results but can't affect the scans or timing of the scans or the scope of the scan. So it's become very handy if you have a brief organization. For example, if you have the IT administrator every morning at the 8 in the morning, for example, receives email from Kinetics, it receives the report and sees if there is any vulnerabilities in the website. If there is no vulnerabilities, we don't disturb developers. As it comes, they can focus more on the job to produce the product. If they found vulnerabilities, administrator can contact with the report responsible developers and say, hey, look, I'm contacting you by the code you pushed yesterday. Kinetics show me that there is a problem. In that case, developers can intervene and see what's gone wrong. So it's can come very handy to having different rules and different users with different roles. Yes. So by that, I would like to conclude that and see if you would like to ask me something or see something more about the Kinetics. I see that Arturas asking if it's possible to get a trial version. It sure is. Evaldas will contact you and talk more briefly. One last thing to mention that about the targets and the licensing. So Kinetics is counting by the targets. Target is and domain name or IP address. So that's how it counts the licensing of the Kinetics. By that, I think I covered all that I wanted to cover today. The rest of the time I will leave for your questions. Feel free to ask. Yes, subdomain is also counted as a target. However, the trick, if you have, for example, testing, yes, subdomain, you can always push the code in the testing, you scan, you get results. After you get results, you push it to the product. That's how you can save some targets, as I can call it. Do you have more questions?
Yeah, I see one more question. What are the benefits of this tool compared to open source or free tools?
Okay, it's quite a good question. So also, it's my opinion. Certain people could have their opinions. In my opinion, the only free thing is the cheese in the trap. Yeah, as we in Lithuania we told that. So by having open source tool, you open for certain risks yourself. The one of the risks is that this is open source tool, and you're not quite sure 100% who is sharing information with it. For example, maybe if you're using open source tool, it will share the reports, the result scan results with the bad actors. That's how they know that you are vulnerable in the exact moment at the exact time, and they can manipulate that information. So we can always should be very concerned about security. Yes, an open source tool by all means, because we are not quite sure we're not quite sure who is manipulating the information from that tool. Another thing to mention, that paid tools, they have their interests. They're doing as a full-time job. That's how they are creating for 15,000 signatures about web application vulnerabilities. So pay tool, if we talk about efficiency, I think it's much better tool, because we got out of the box much more capabilities, and also we have a contract to that our data won't be shared with bad actors, because they are risking their brand, their name. That's why they are working for 18 years. Yes, so I hope I respond that question. Arturas asking, is price model yearly, monthly, and ATC? So yeah, it's a year-based license. It starts for the 2 years, paid by every year. Depend on of the targets that you have in your scope. As I see, Arturas have a lot of more questions and interested in this product. So Arturas, I invite you to contact us and talk more about this product in private, so we can respond more of your questions. Also, don't hesitate ask the questions, so we can respond them for other people that also maybe are having the same questions as you. But I invite you to have a call with us and talk more in private.
I see we still have a few more minutes left, so please, if you have more questions, you still
in meanwhile,
have time to ask.
Yes, I just want to show you integrations, as I mentioned before. So it's issue tracking system integrations, project management integrations. Yes, so you basically can integrate Aconetics with all those tools, and to help your developer team work more efficiency and secure way to secure your application, because it's not only about developing, it's about developing the secure application. Yes, if you have that mindset, it's very important to think also not only about developing, but also about the security. Okay, I stopped sharing my screen. I still waiting for your questions if you have.
I see Arturas.
I'll get back individually.
Also ask one more.
Yes, Arturas does have integration with Cloudflare. At the moment, I'm not quite sure which integration. I know that we had a client that was using Cloudflare, and we was communicating with them. I know that Aconetics mentioned some time ago that they have in the roadmap the Cloudflare, but I couldn't respond. I could not respond to you for now 100% if they reached the roadmap with Cloudflare or not. I could check that for you and respond via email.
So to conclude, we hope that this webinar was helpful for you. And if you still have more questions or would like to get to know more, please contact us. And thank you for presenters and for attendees who joined us today. And have a good rest of the day, and see you in our other webinars. Bye.
Thank you for your time. See ya.